So yeah, talking about, you know, the ideas, other ideas, out of the box ideas, you know, myself, just, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to enter into the marketplace of ideas and give people alternatives. That's kind of what I'm doing anyway. So, yeah, my friend, he said, I'm leaving. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna go to Scotland, and he said, Steve, I think you should come with me. Yeah, of course. I was like, because I thought, you know, that's just crazy. That's just completely crazy. He said, but no, you should come with me, because he says, because you are also a devotee of Krishna. And I said, I'm not a devotee of Krishna. I don't identify as such. I have no inkling towards Hinduism. I have no interest really in it. And he said, no, you are a devotee of Krishna. And I said, why do you say that? I'm not. He said, yes, you are, because look on your wall. And he pointed just behind my shoulder. He said, look, you've got a picture of Krishna on your wall. And I looked, and so what it was I'd just gotten a book. One of the Hare Krishna devotees are famous for giving out books in the streets. I just picked up a book one time from some person I'd met, giving him £1.
Where was this?
I'm in those years when I was a teenager. I met quite a few actually, and I got quite a few books just in Preston, Manchester, Chorley, Liverpool, and I'd built up quite a little collection of books, but I'd never read any of them. I just put them on the shelf, you know, together with all the other books that were on the shelf, you know, philosophy books and adventure story books and whatever else I was into. They all just went on the shelf. I didn't look at any of them. But this particular book, I'd looked through and I'd seen the pictures, and I was into the hippies. You see, I was into the hippies. I was into flower power. My dad had this amazing LP library, and I delved into that when I was like about 13, and like fallen in love with Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and all these great bands, Carlos Santana, Caravanserai. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. All of that music. Pink Floyd, Saucer Full of Secrets, Set Your Controls for the Heart of the Sun, Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks. I had a record player in my room. I was listening to all these records just because, because actually we moved house. It's all going off another time. We moved house when we were 9 years old. I grew up on this street in Leyland, and there were loads of kids. We'd play all together in the street, you know, all summer long, every night out till it got dark, playing. And then we moved house when I was 9. Moved house to this other town, like a middle class suburb. I didn't know anybody, and I became a kind of recluse just in my room. So I got into film, I got into music, listening to the radio, and so anyway, I'd gotten into this 1970s music, and as well, I got into the ideas and the ideology, the free love, and I got into, and so flower power. So I got on this Hare Krishna book, and I'd seen a picture of well, I didn't even know what it was a picture of. I just saw the flower garland. I saw a flower garland, and I thought, oh, you know, that's cool, you know. And actually on the next page there was a picture of a guy levitating in a cave, you know. So that for me, that was what I was into, you know. That was cool, you know, like mystical powers, like Yoda, you know, the power to raise the X-wing out of the swamp, you know, these kind of mystical powers. So I'd seen the guy levitating, and I'd seen the flower garland. So I'd stuck that on my wall. And it turned out it was a picture of one of the, I think, Radha Raman from Vrindavan, a deity, one of the most famous deities in the world, isn't it? You know, and so I'd put this on my wall, just, you know, because I like the flowers, you know. But here is my friend Dan drawing significance to the fact that, you know, I've got unconsciously I'd put a picture of Lord Krishna on my wall, you know, not knowing what it was. Just was it by chance, you know, or is there some design, you know? I mean, what was guiding me? So Dan says, you should come with me. I was like, no way. He's like, well, you're a devotee. You've got a picture of Krishna. I was like, anyway, I'm not coming. You go. And he left. Yeah, he left, and we didn't see him. And he actually stole my Harry Potter book. The Sorcerer's Stone, the first Harry Potter book. Yeah, I don't know what he did with that, because he helped me move in when I was moving in, and all the boxes were coming in, and he said, "Oh, can I borrow this book?" And he borrowed it, and I haven't never got it back, but I'm letting it go. So yeah, he left, and it didn't go so well actually with he didn't tell his housemates. He hadn't told his housemates. You know, one time I went to see him, and he lived in a big house. It was like, I think, 6 people sharing this house, and you go all the way to the top, and he was kind of like in the attic, you know. So one time I went to see him, and I walked up the stairs. And it was a time when he was also thinking about it. Well, this was a time when he was really thinking, you know, about joining the monastery. You know, this was before he told me he was going. He was thinking about it, and I walked up there, and he was sitting on his bed there, and there was incense, and I went into his room, and he told me that he'd been meditating a lot on a particular Chinese proverb. And the Chinese proverb was, sailors, in order to find new land, must leave sight of the shore. So that's a pretty cool, you know, it's like, you know, we want to venture into new realms of experience and knowledge, and you know, you've got to be a little bit brave, and you've got to leave things behind, you've got to sacrifice certain things. That can be scary. But it's the kind of it's like it says in the Bible, you know, is it like, you know, get out of what is it? Get out of the kingdom, you know. Leave thy father's kingdom, go unto the land that I have shown thee, you know. Venture into the unknown, and you know, and try to survive, try to explore, try to deal with the new things that you're going to encounter there that you haven't encountered before, and you don't know how to deal with, you know. I mean, this is the quest of youth, you know, like Robert Louis Stevenson said, youth is wholly experimental. So a lot of young people try a lot of different things, and we don't want to limit ourselves to just mind expanding drugs, you know. We want to get into spirituality as well, you know, and other realms and other possibilities. I think you know, a lot of people have a lot of faith in mind expanding drugs, LSD, ayahuasca, but for me, I find those things limiting and limited. You know, there's realms beyond this, and we're talking about we want to make a contrast as well between the mind and the heart. And I just want to make a generalization, which is that I think in particularly the Western mind is focused on what is the best quality, what is the highest that can be achieved, what's the, you know, the most superior thing, and people think it's intelligence. What is the brain? The brainiest guys are the best guys, the most successful. For example, successful scientists. But I want to challenge that, and I want to say there's something higher than the mind, which is the heart. It's about love. Love is higher. The ability to show kindness, show love, show compassion. The heart is more important than the mind. And the mind expanding drugs are doing just that. They're expanding your mind to its limit. But beyond that is a realm of love, a realm of exchanging loving relationships with others, with other people, and with God. This is like way up there, way beyond any material limitation. You know, I don't want to get too off track on what I'm saying here. I was supposed to be talking about work, isn't it? Work, my desire to work. So I really wanted to work in trying to help and serve other people, to try to help people elevate themselves, help people be happy. I think the acid test is or the measure of any society is the happiness of its members. You know, we've got GDP, which is an economic measure of, you know, which nation is the wealthiest, which is GDP is basically a measure of, you know, on the stock exchange, you know, there's all the companies, they accumulate the value of all the different companies on the stock exchange, and then they decide, you know, which is the richest country, and supposedly the richest country is like the best country, but there's obviously that's just a measure of basically it's a measure of material profit and durable goods. Their production of things like refrigerators and cars and microwaves and hoovers and ironing boards or something like that. You know, this is how a lot of people see the world through this lens. You know. But there's, you know, what about social metrics, you know, suicide rates, divorce rates, you know, mental health, national mental health statistics, you know. So happiness is, for me, is the acid test, and if I can in any way do anything I can possibly do to help other people become happy, then that's the purpose of my life. You know, that's why I'm here. I mean, if I remember kind of praying, saying a prayer. There was in my hometown there was actually a plaque to someone who died as a Christian martyr. And I remember looking at that plaque and thinking, yeah, you know, you know, if I could possibly do something worthwhile to help other people, then my life is worth living. And if I can't, I might as well just die. There's no point in me being around. You know, if I can't do something to really help and serve and make other people happy, you know, that for me was is something, you know, really close to my soul. You know, to want to help and serve others. And yeah, but at the time that I met the monks, then I wasn't working at all. I didn't have any kind of job, for two reasons. I'd been the victim of abuse in the workplace a couple of times. Like the boss would be kind of like just way over the top, aggressive, unexpectedly, unnecessarily pushy and bullying, you know, and it was kind of like a shock to be treated like that, you know, in the workplace, you know. So so because of that happening, and because of my readings in Marxism, you know, communism, Marxism, that's a philosophy and a theory behind why bosses treat their workers in a horrible way. You know, they don't care about them, they just want to exploit them, get as much work out of them, pay them as little as possible. And of course the Marxist perspective of history is that there's only just a relationship between the exploiters and the exploited. I mean, I don't agree with that concept of history. I think it's more complex, and there's other kinds of relationships, and there's, you know, there are bosses and leaders and parents and teachers and government officers who do genuinely care and who are sincere and who aren't corrupted by selfishness, who do really want to help their subjects, their children, their students, and of course Marxism denies the existence of such loving relationships. But but at the time having been experienced, you know, abuse in the workplace, and so I quit my job. You know, I was just working in an egg packing factory at the time, but I quit that job because of my readings in communism, Marxism, and also because of my readings in Buddhism. So the Buddha, he quit his job as well. You know, he quit his job and went to sit under a tree. He was like, okay, I don't want to create any future karma, whether it be good karma for which I will have to receive reward. I don't want to, and neither do I want to create bad karma for which I will have to. I don't want to commit sin for which I will have to receive punishment. You know, I don't want to create any more future karma. I want to step out of that karmic situation. I want to just not do anything. I'm just going to sit under my tree and I'm going to meditate. So although I was I was doing some meditation with my time off. I quit my job, and I was spending my time walking. I was lucky that I lived actually next to a huge expanse of moorland, of kind of like a hill, like a not like a high mountain, but like an elevated, there was a hill that, you know, you climb up the hill, and then there's a huge like flat expanse of just heather and grass, tall grass. It was rough, you know. There was it wasn't lush grass. It wasn't a field, you know. It wasn't a farm. It was just kind of wasteland, you know. So and it stretched for miles. It's the Pennines. It's the Pennine Moors, you know, the West Pennine Moors. There's a big moorland there. It's called Anglezark. I think it was actually Zark Angle, like the tribe, the Angles, the kind of Anglo-Saxon, you know, the Angle tribes. Anglezark, because there was a burial mound, a huge, like where some kind of Bronze Age king was. He wasn't actually. I don't think he was an Angle. He was before that period in history. But there was a huge burial mound where there was this Bronze Age king buried underneath this huge mound that they made. So I was unemployed for about 6 months, so I would spend a lot of time just going up onto the moors, cooking my meals in the forest there. And I met this guy. I was out. I was on just the second year of my university course, and I was finding the content. It was interesting, but it was a little bit dry. And I was out walking my dog. He was out walking his dog, and I just started chatting to this guy. And he was called Old Pete. Old Pete, and I made friends with him. And he was starting to recommend me some other books to read. Still philosophical, still very spiritual, interesting, psychological. He recommended me Carl Jung, Man and His Symbols. He recommended me Carlos Castaneda, Teachings of Don Juan. So I was reading those books, which were really interesting, and I was going up onto the and he showed me a great camping spot, and he told me he'd been camping there a lot, you know, when he was younger, and he showed me there was a natural spring, Nab Spow, which meant I could stay up there for at least a couple of days, and I could collect fresh water, you know, and if I took up a few tins of beans, I could just cook them in the fire. So I could spend a lot of time away in nature. Yeah, I've always had a relationship with nature. You know, from my orienteering days. But at that point, like the kind of nature, the forest, the mountains, how I perceived it was that it was a kind of that was my football pitch. You know, that was where I would go to do my sport, you know. And so, like, yeah, a lot of different people. Are we running out of time? No, a lot of different people have different perceptions. You know, the world is such a thing, but depending on how we perceive it, you know, it is different to different people.